There are many options for preparing an area for a pollinator habitat planting. Good site preparation is key to successful germination and establishment of native wildflowers. In this video, we're going to talk about how to use solarization to kill weeds and weed seeds in the topsoil before sowing wildflower seeds. Solarization uses a clear sheet of plastic laid over the ground to trap heat from the sun and kill weeds, seeds, and pathogens in the top few inches of soil. It's a safe, non-chemical approach to weed eradication that can be used in both garden and farm settings. When carried out correctly, solarization is a highly effective weed eradication technique. Before we go through the detailed step-by-step approach to using solarization, let's walk through some of the considerations when deciding whether solarization is the right tool for your planting area. Why might you choose solarization over other site preparation techniques, such as herbicide applications or repeated tillage? You might use solarization if you live in a hot, dry climate. In areas like California's Central Valley, solarization is more effective than any other weed control method, including herbicide control. In other climates, it's effective for sunny, well-drained sites. Solarization is a great option to consider if you want an organic method. You don't need to control rhizomatous, woody, or hard-seeded weeds. You have a long and narrow or small planting site. Solarization is easier and more cost-effective for sites under a half acre in size, and if you're willing to invest resources. Purchasing new UV-stabilized solarization plastic can be costly. If you have a source for used high-tunnel plastic in good condition, this can be much more affordable. Now that you know some of the considerations for how and where you might want to use solarization to prepare a site for planting, let's talk through the detailed steps of the process. Step 1. Obtain plastic. In general, solarization is best done with clear plastic rather than black plastic in order for solar radiation to penetrate into and be trapped within the top layer of the soil. The plastic needs to be thick enough to withstand breakdown by UV rays, wind, and other disturbances throughout the growing season. We recommend using UV-stabilized greenhouse polyethylene plastic with a thickness of 4 or 6 mil, which can be ordered from a variety of agricultural suppliers. Used high-tunnel plastic in good condition can be reused for solarization, reducing the total cost of the project. Make sure to repair any rips or tears with greenhouse plastic repair tape. In small areas, consider adding a second sheet of clear plastic to maximize solarization temperatures and efficacy. This option is not likely to be cost-effective for larger plantings. Step 2. Prepare the planting area for plastic. In early spring, mow and rake off existing vegetation, then disc or till the soil to create an even surface for the plastic. Loosening the soil will also help with burying the edges of the plastic. If your soil is dry, you'll want to irrigate the soil before solarizing to encourage germination of weed seeds underneath the plastic. Just before you're ready to lay down the plastic, dig a trench at least 4 inches deep around the border of the planting area. To save time, consider using a walk-behind trencher, such as a ditch witch, which can be rented from any major home and garden store. For larger plantings, trenchings can be done with a variety of tractor implements. Step 3. Lay down the plastic and bury the edges. Once the area is prepared, roll the plastic out by hand or with rolling equipment attached to a tractor or ATV. Spread the plastic out until it's taut, minimizing any air pockets at the soil surface. Place the edges of the plastic in the trench and cover with soil to bury the edges down to at least 4 inches, or enough to keep the edges buried for the time that the plastic will be on the ground. This prevents airflow underneath the plastic, which can significantly reduce the radiant heat and weed kill underneath the plastic. If there are any places where 2 pieces of plastic come together, make one trench along the seam and bury both pieces of plastic in the trench together with several inches of overlap. Make sure to get a good seal along this edge. Step 4. Perform minimal maintenance through the growing season. Check the plastic for rips and tears through the summer. If your area has abundant deer populations, be prepared for animal damage. Promptly repair any rips with greenhouse plastic repair tape. Mow around the edges of your solarization site to keep weeds around the future planting area from going to seed. Alternatively, plant an annual warm season cover crop or insectary strip mix around the edges of the plastic. Step 5. Remove the plastic in preparation for seeding. How long do you leave on the plastic? In most areas, solarization plastic should be left in place from late spring through mid-fall. In cooler climates, keep an eye out for rhizomatous weed growth under the plastic in fall and be careful not to leave it down too long. In early fall, assess any weeds remaining under the plastic. If there are aggressive perennial weeds still growing, you may need to leave the plastic on and solarize for a second season. If not, you're good to go. Before removing the plastic, pull or mow any weeds around the edges of the plastic that might rain seed into the solarized area. Roll back the plastic and set it aside for reuse or recycling. Hand pull any remaining perennial weeds or annual weeds that might drop seed into the planting area, taking care to minimize disturbance to the soil surface. Do not cultivate the soil prior to seeding, or you risk bringing up new weed seeds from below the soil surface. Take care not to spread the untreated soil used to bury the edges onto the solarized area. Step 6. Seed. The treated area should be ready to seed once the plastic is off and any remaining weeds have been removed. With effective site preparation, your native wildflowers will be able to germinate and establish without excessive competition from weeds. We hope you've learned enough to put solarization to the test as you prepare areas for pollinator habitat in your home garden or on your farm. Let us know your experience in the comments. Subscribe to our channel to stay up to date as we post new videos on pollinator habitat, bee research, and more. Visit our website at www.projecticp.org. Thanks for watching!